It's a full-time job.
They know it's coming.
Everybody ready down that end?
Yes, sir.
Everybody ready down this end?
Ready. Firing line?
Waiting for my computer to reboot. Good morning. Call to order the May 17th, 2022 meeting of the Indian River County Board of County Commissioners. At this point, it's my pleasure to invite Pastor Richard Demsick from the Freedom Church up to the podium. He will be providing the invocation this morning. That'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Laura Moss. And we begin with a moment of silent reflection for our first responders and members of the armed forces. Would everyone please rise?
Lord Heavenly Father, we thank you that you have given us the strength of community. You've given us men and women to stand in the gap and to be there to help govern and lead us. The scripture says, where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in abundance of counsel there is safety. So Lord, we ask that you guide all of the voices that speak today and the men and women who have served in this role to be able to serve our county. We ask that you guide them, and as you've shown us in your example, that they do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than themselves. Let each of us look not only to our own interests, but also the interests of others, having the mind among ourselves, which we can have in the same example of Christ, who being in the very form of God did not count equality with God something to grasp, but emptied himself, making himself a servant of all. We thank you that you can make us an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, let us pardon. Doubt, let us give faith. Despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Grant that we may not seek just to be consoled, but to console. To be understood, rather to understand. Not just to seek to be loved, but to love. For it is in the giving that we receive. It is in the pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is the dying that we are born to eternal life. Grant that you give your insight, your wisdom, and your peace in this meeting. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
With Memorial Day upon us, I'll take a moment just to be thankful and remember all of those in the military who sacrificed their lives for our right to say this pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Commissioners, additions, deletions, emergency items. I would like to add an informational item, 7F, just to discuss the schedule for our visioning workshops. Does anyone else have any other additions, deletions?
No. Move to approve as amended.
We have a motion by Commissioner Moss, second by Commissioner Flesher. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries 5-0. Proclamations and presentations. The first is a proclamation honoring Stephanie Lawton Pooley on her retirement from the Indian River County Office of the Tax Collector. And I think we've got some folks here. So, Stephanie, you want to come on up? And bring your crowd with you. They're going to stand behind you. Stephanie, it'll be my honor to read this proclamation, and we'd like to hear a few words from you after that, okay? All right. This is honoring Stephanie Lawton Pooley on her retirement from the Indian River County Office of the Tax Collector with 36 years and 1 month of service. We had to squeeze that last month out of here. Whereas Stephanie Pooley will retire from the Indian River County Tax Collector's Office effective May 31st, 2022. And whereas Stephanie began her employment career with Indian River County on August 13, 1984, as a customer service representative in the tax collector's office, and is retiring as the branch manager of the Oceanside office. Whereas Stephanie has served Indian River County, St. Lucie County, the state of Florida, and the public at all times with integrity, dedication, and a lot of humor that has earned her admiration and respect from both her current and former tax collectors. And whereas Stephanie has been praised by tax collector Carol Jean Jordan, who considers Stephanie a legend in Indian River County that has sprinkled her contagious and happy spirit throughout our community. Stephanie is also commended by former tax collector Charles W. Sembler, who said her sense of humor and spirited personality is legendary. And by former tax collector Carl Zimmerman, who thinks of Stephanie as a consummate team player, and by clerk of the court, Circuit Court Jeff Smith, who lauded Stephanie's amazing ability to recall DMV rules, procedures, and policies. And whereas Stephanie will be greatly missed by her coworkers and by her customers, not only because of her vast knowledge, but most importantly, for her beautiful smile and bubbly personality. And we all wish you the very best in your long-awaited for retirement, and hope you enjoy spending lots of time with your beautiful family. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Indian River County, Florida, that the board applauds Stephanie Lawton Pooley's hard work, and the board wishes to express their appreciation for the dedicated service she has given to Indian River County for the last 36 years and 1 month of service, and extends heartfelt wishes for great success in her future endeavors, adopted the 17th day of May, 2022, and signed by myself as chairman of the Board of County Commissioners. And Steffi, I don't know if you just missed the calendar to have to get that extra month in, or Carol Jean wouldn't let you go, but we appreciate the extra month.
Well, thank you ever so much. I am so honored that I got to serve here in Indian River County at the tax collector's office. Being a native Vero Beachian, I'm happy that I got to see so many friends, make friends, serving the public as I did. It was great pleasure. There were times I didn't make them all happy, but for the most part, I think, it was wonderful. I've had great bosses, Carl Zimmerman, Charlie Sembler, Carol Jean. She's put up with me. I've been very blessed to have worked here as long as I have and served our citizens of Indian River County because I love them. I'm proud of Indian River County.
Very good. Now,
Yep.
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's coincidence that she's in mourning, but Carol Jean is wearing black. It's like.
I know. Yeah. She's like, Steffi, and I'm like, I have things to do.
Mr. Vice Chair Ehrman.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Fleischer, y'all will be shocked to this, but Steffi and I have known each other our whole life.
Again?
Yeah, we sure have, from church days, elementary school.
I figured y'all would be shocked by that.
Yeah.
Stephanie and I did grow up together. She was a year behind me in high school, but we were friends. We lived fairly close together, and I was friends with people that lived in her neighborhood. So we would all hang out together, go to her house, and her mom and dad were two of the finest people I've ever met. And it was just always, Stephanie's just always fun to be around. Everything that you said in the proclamation is so true. She's just such a good person and such a big asset to the county. I thought she would stay as long as Carol Jean would stay, but you could probably get her to come back.
Absolutely. All the rest. Wait a little bit.
But just one of those, another one of those like Deb Gibson, just one of those institutional knowledge people back there that are going to be truly missed by the county and the county they've served and done such a good job. I mean, I know if anybody had an issue there for years, even before Carol Jean was our tax collector, I'd just tell them, call Deb or call Stephanie. They'll take care of it for you. They know what to do. So it was just, those days are probably getting fewer and fewer, but without a doubt, just one of the best people I've ever known.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joe.
Stephanie, you mentioned that sometimes you couldn't make everybody happy. We understand that real well up here.
But I have to honestly say the good outweigh the bad.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Or, I mean,
Yeah.
and if not, as long as you can give someone a smile, you don't know what kind of day they're having, just help them. Go that extra mile and do what you can to do to help them. And
That sounds-
I loved helping people.
Great. Well, Stephanie, come on up here, we'll give you your plaque, and bring the group, we'll get a big group photo.
Congratulations. Enjoy retirement.
Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
We're going to want you right here in the middle, Stephanie, and then everybody else can.
Always good to see you. Jordan's been great to work with.
Yeah. Some of y'all come down to the other end here. Got to get everybody squeezed in.
Got to balance it up. Well, bring your boss.
Yeah, she'll-
Got it.
Awesome. Enjoy.
All right. Yep.
Mr. Chair, I think we can explain that 1 month. Carol Jean, I believe in an attempt to revoke the retirement, extended the stay a little bit to see if she can make changes in Stephanie's future.
Yeah, in the whole Florida system, right?
A great person to work with.
Next, we have a proclamation in recognition of Memorial Day 2022. I think we have some of the veterans here to accept this. Curtis, you guys want to step up? Any veterans? Any veterans?
No veterans here today?
Well, they're supposed to be. This says the.
Curtis was at the city for the golf tournament later. That's why we have him underneath.
So why don't we table this
Combine
until
that with
until he can come back? Okay.
Cider tournament, maybe.
Yep, that sounds good. We'll move on to presentation proclamation celebrating Florida's Emancipation Day observance in Indian River County on May 21st, 2022. This will be presented by Commissioner Moss, and I think we have some folks here to accept this. Y'all come on up. Good morning and welcome. Commissioner Moss.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. It's an honor and a pleasure to read this, not only for the significance of the day itself, but also that it includes an inaugural event for the Gifford community. Proclamation celebrating Florida's Emancipation Day observance in Indian River County on May 21st, 2022. Whereas on January 1st, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, stating that, quote, all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state, the people whereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States, shall be thenceforward and forever free. And whereas more than 2 years later, at the end of the Civil War, on May 10th, 1865, Union Brigadier General Edward McCook arrived in Tallahassee to take possession of the city from Southern forces. And on May 20th, after official control of the region was transferred to Union forces, he declared the Emancipation Proclamation in effect, and that, quotes, the people of the black race are free citizens of the United States," end quotes. And whereas newly freed slaves celebrated this announcement with a picnic at Bull's Pond, today called Lake Ella, and since that first celebration in 1865, Floridians in many areas of the state have annually celebrated May 20th as Emancipation Day in Florida. And whereas the Gifford Historical Museum and Cultural Center will host the first Emancipation Day celebration in Indian River County on Saturday, May 21st, 2022, an event filled with great food, music, entertainment, and a reenactment of General McCook reading the Emancipation Proclamation on the steps of the Knott House in Tallahassee in 1865. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Indian River County, Florida, that the Board congratulates the Gifford Historical Museum and Cultural Center on its leading role in the observance of this landmark day in United States and Florida history, and extends its warmest wishes to the entire Gifford community for an unforgettable Emancipation Day celebration with many more to follow. Adopted the 17th day of May, 2022, Board of County Commissioners, Indian River County, Florida, and signed by all 5 commissioners. Can't wait. Wow. Congratulations. Miss Johnny Mae Perry.
To the Honorable Commissioners, Chairman O'Brien, Commissioner Fletcher, Commissioner Adams, Commissioner Ehrman, and Commissioner Moss. On behalf of the Gifford Historical Museum and Cultural Center, the Florida African American Heritage Preservation Network, after Ms. Barnes, Indian River County Historical Society, and the Indian River County African American community, we thank you. We thank you for this recognition of May 20th, Emancipation Day. We thank our community partners that are here standing with us this morning amid pain and sorrow for those lost from senseless violence of hatred and fear. I believe love can build a bridge of differences, tolerance, and respect between your hearts and mine. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? We all have a responsibility to correct love and respect for our community. This Saturday, in light and hope, we remember and celebrate Emancipation Day in Florida, May 20th, 1865, when Union General Edward M. McCook formally read President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation from the steps of the Knott House in Tallahassee, thereby ending slavery in the state of Florida. To the Board of Commissioners, we applaud you for this recognition. Gifford and Indian River County has become recognized all over the state of Florida as a trailblazer, honoring and celebrating Florida's emancipation. Standing with her family this morning is centurion, 102 years young, Miss Lenora Williams, who has told the story over and over to her children, her grandchildren, and her family of how her grandmother and her grandmother's family walked 26 miles from Monticello, Florida, Jefferson County, to Tallahassee, Leon County, to celebrate Florida's emancipation from slavery. As we humbly accept this proclamation, I present to you Centurion Miss Lenora Williams.
Wow.
Thank you. Come on up and we'll try and get everybody in a picture. Yeah, maybe.
You want to go down there?
Yeah, Commissioner Moss, why don't you go down and present it to down there.
Miss Johnny May.
Johnny May? We're going to have Commissioner Moss bring the proclamation and give it to you there. Yep.
Want to go down there for the picture?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I think we should.
we're going to go down there. Okay. Everybody look that way.
You had your phone upside down. The camera was on the bottom.
Yeah, Ann Rankins isn't today.
Pardon?
She's in the,
She's on 7.
She's not coming?
Unless she showed up unexpectedly. Ian Rankin? She's on under 7, so I don't think she was coming.
Accolades. I know. I think you know a few.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
34 years. Commissioner Fletcher has something, I don't know, but I don't think she's supposed to be here, right? Yeah, okay.
Morning.
Okay, we will get back onto the agenda. Next is a presentation of a proclamation recognizing the week of May 15 through 21, 2022 as National Police Week. This will be presented by Commissioner Fletcher, and I believe we have Indian River County Sheriff Eric Flowers here. Good morning and welcome, Sheriff. Good morning. Commissioner Fletcher.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the honor and privilege of presenting the proclamation. As we have done historically, we always begin National Police Week with a memorial service, a recognition service, and which we attended, and it was rather touching and a very fitting presentation. And when we were talking about those men and women who have sacrificed their lives for public safety, for the safety and security that we all appreciate, I had to pause for a minute and say, I only hope that at least one person said thank you to them during their career. Because unfortunately, in today's environment, and we all watch TV and we see the news, things are very different in many places. And there's sometimes a lack of appreciation and understanding. And I was thinking that, well, if they're not thanked, they're the very people that are providing the safety and security, and every day they have that check in their uniform, ready to surrender it for the value of their life, for you, the citizen, for your safety and security. And the least, when we look at the families of those who have been sacrificed for your public safety, we need to acknowledge and appreciate. All too often, people are looking at their watch when they're waiting for a law enforcement officer to come to their home. Sometimes as they're waiting, as they perhaps maybe getting a ticket, or perhaps maybe the stolen bicycle is not recovered within 3 days. We rush to question, and we can't do that because we're blessed here in Indian River County. Yesterday, with the Sheriff's Office and all of the municipal law enforcement agencies and the statewide agencies that were present, and the military that were present, and the public that were present, you could see the greatest appreciation for what we have in Indian River County. And I just want to say to all of the public, if you get the opportunity, say thank you. Just say thank you, because it means a lot. I can tell you firsthand, it means a lot. And that recognition will carry that person even further as they carry that check that they may be cashing. And if they cash it sooner than later, you will not have the opportunity to say thank you. So change your life, because they change your life every day. With that, I'd like to present this proclamation recognizing the week of May 15th through 21st, 2022 as National Police Week. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation designating May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week when the date fell as National Police Week. And whereas there are more than 900,000 law enforcement officers providing vital, around-the-clock service across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Indian River County Sheriff's Office and our local municipal police departments. Whereas females now constitute approximately 12% of all law enforcement officers, a number that continues to grow. Whereas every day our nation's law enforcement officers pin on a badge and go to work, not knowing what their duty will bring, but hoping to come home safely. And whereas every day we ask a great deal of these men and women and who proactively ensuring the public safety, to serving as frontline responders to incidents involving domestic violence, substance abuse, disorders, mental health challenges, and homelessness, often with limited resources. Whereas supporting our law enforcement officers require us to invest in the underfunded public systems to provide improved health care, counseling, housing, education, and other social services. Whereas the law enforcement agencies protect our rights, ensure accountability for misconduct, and embrace the policing that reflects the community values and ensures the community well-being for the benefit of both those who wear the badge and those who count on their protection. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Indian River County, Florida, that May the 15th through 21st, 2022 is National Police Week, and all citizens are asked to join in commemorating these police officers, the past and present, who by loyal devotion to the responsibilities have rendered great service to this community and safeguarded the rights of all citizens. Duly adopted this 17th day of May, 2022, and signed by all 5 county commissioners. Sheriff.
Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you for being there yesterday for our service. Certainly appreciate your attendance. It means a lot to our team. I do want to say that, Commissioner Flesher, I know that you wore the uniform, that we responded to calls together, and in 2022, our folks out there responding to calls, it's a different world than when we responded to calls together. And when you talk about folks stopping and saying thanks, I remember being out in uniform, going to grab lunch or just out in places and getting that. And it still does happen today, there's no doubt about that. But I'll tell you, our folks are so busy. The great state of Florida, the free state of Florida, thanks to our governor, has a lot of people moving here, including Indian River County. And our calls for service continue to rise every single day. Just in the last 48 hours, we've had 2 significantly traumatic suicides. We've had a homicide last night. I was out at 10 o'clock at a homicide in the south end of the county. We had 2 stolen vehicles that we recovered yesterday. Our folks are busy, and I think they're probably missing out on that time to be able to pause for a minute to get that thanks. And so this week really means a lot to us, where we as a community pause to say thank you. It really goes a long way, because they're not getting to hear it as much as they used to, because they are busy and they are responding to more traumatic, more significant things than we ever have. It's important that our community continues to support our law enforcement, that over the years, Indian River County has been a great bastion of freedom, has been a great part of this state because of our support for law enforcement. And we have to continue that. We have to support the men and women that are out there protecting us every single day. It's one of the reasons why people continue to move here, because they know that they're going to be safe and that they're going to be protected. So we have to continue to do that. Yesterday, we honored Canine Joker. Never want to have to put another name on that memorial up there. Richard Razkowski is the only line of duty death in the history, almost 100-year history of the Indian River County Sheriff's Office. I pray that we never have to put another name on that memorial. But we did honor Joker yesterday. He will go, he's on the Canine Memorial over at the Indian River County Sheriff's Office as well. And there was over 100 names that we read as a result of deaths. And unfortunately, around the state of Florida, that's just Florida deaths. Those are agencies, as I said yesterday, those are agencies, those are family members that lost a loved one in the line of duty. And, you know, it's just unacceptable that we continue to see the violence against law enforcement. We continue to see these bad actors who want to hurt people just because of the uniform that they wear. I just want to say thank you to my entire team. Everyone does a fantastic job over there, you know, and I certainly hope that the public this week will take time, if you see law enforcement out there, to pause and say thank you for what you do, because they definitely need to hear it now more than ever. Thank you guys for taking time to do this today.
Yeah, Sheriff, it was a very nice ceremony yesterday, and the tribute to Joker was a nice touch. You had, 7 or 8 canines there that paraded through, and I know a couple of them looked like they were ready to get to work there.
They're always ready to work, absolutely. For them, it's play. And so they're happy, they're having a good time out there. So I'm glad you guys appreciated that. I had a lot of really good compliments on that ceremony. So thank you again for being there, and we'll continue to do that. The big thing is to remind the public, please come out and join us. That's a public ceremony. It's open to the public. We close the road in front of the courthouse. Anybody can come out and join us. Just a great thing for our community. So thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate your reading all the names yesterday. That was very touching, and certainly in keeping with what Michelle Dale, who's the president of Gold Star Mothers, said, that not forgetting is such an important part of service and losing people.
Without a doubt. Every single name is a family member, is an agency that's out there hurting. And, you know, we've lost folks not in the line of duty in the last few years to other things. And our agency is still hurting from those losses. Every loss is a great loss. And we'll continue to mourn with our fellow law enforcement officers around the state.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Sheriff, come on up. Yep.
Make sure.
Have you do the thing,
Yeah.
do public speaking, because he's got to make sure anyway.
You could have told me much I.
So you'll be next.
The one you got yesterday was. Oh. It was. Yes.
I looked at bringing it in today.
Yeah. More and more. Hey, Chief. Chief.
A hero?
All right, we're all in? Yeah. Oh, great.
Always put the tall people in the middle.
All right, thank you. Thank you all. Be safe out there. What's that? Oh.
Bring it around for next time. Tape over it.
I see Mr. Paulson is here, but I think we'll hold off on the Memorial Day proclamation until his public speaking, and we'll get everything wrapped up at the same time with you, Curtis, if that's okay? All right. So next we have a proclamation designating the week of May 23 through 30, 2022 as National Beach Safety Week. I've asked Commissioner Adams to present this. Now, I know there's no beaches in Fellsmere, Commissioner Adams, and I know you're a country girl, but I think
working on it.
I think there's a hidden surfer girl in you, and your bright, sunny personality makes this very appropriate.
This is very dangerous. I mean, I did drive a Jeep in high school.
Oh, there we see. I knew there was a little surfer girl in you.
I think, I think wrestling alligators makes it count.
They do have alligators in the beach sometimes. Rarely, but from time to time.
All right, and we have Mr. Zito and some of our rec staff here to accept this. Good morning, welcome everyone.
Good morning, Commissioners. Accepting this proclamation on behalf of our Ocean Rescue Division is Captain Jonathan Billings. I want to take a moment to thank Jonathan for continuing to enhance the professionalism of our Ocean Rescue Division. And they are out there 365 days a year and doing a fantastic job. And after the proclamation is read, he's going to introduce you to a special team member that has a wonderful story.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here, Captain Billings. It is my pleasure to read a proclamation designating the week of May 23rd through 30th, 2022 as National Beach Safety Week. Whereas the beautiful coastal and inland beaches of Indian River County represent a world-renowned recreational resource. And whereas residents and visitors alike are drawn to these beaches by the millions each year for water and beach activities. And whereas the aquatic environment has dangers, particularly rip currents, that can be effectively managed through public awareness and the vigilance of professional lifeguards. And whereas, for reasons of public safety, an annual reminder of the joys and hazards associated with the aquatic environment are appropriate at the commencement of the busy summer beach season. And whereas, residents and visitors alike must remember to learn to swim, never swim alone, swim near a lifeguard, learn rip current safety, never drink alcohol before swimming, life jackets save lives, observe signs and flags, use sunscreen and drink water, and respect the power of the surf. And whereas our local ocean rescue lifeguards and all swim instructors throughout the county area are applauded for their hard work, dedication, and courage in performance of their efforts and roles to enhance and promote safe enjoyment of our local beaches and ocean waters. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Indian River County, Florida, that the week of May 23rd through the 30th, 2022, be designated as National Beach Safety Week, and urge all residents using our beaches to enjoy themselves at the beach this year while taking appropriate measures to protect themselves and their children. Adopted the 17th day of May, 2022, and signed by all 5 county commissioners. And I know you have a story to tell, but I just want to thank you from the Board of County Commissioners for adding to the level of professionalism. We have beautiful beaches. We have a lot of people that come and enjoy them. And thanks to you and your team, they are very safe, and the community feels comfortable going to them. So thank you for all you do. But please share with us who you have with you today.
Well, I appreciate you guys having us here and helping us promote Beach Safety Week. Throughout the year, we do school trainings with we teach them about lifeguarding through our junior guard program as well, which I will get to that in a second. But we do try to promote beach safety through our vigilance every day, doing preventative actions. And luckily, we pray that we keep having a record that we do. We haven't had a drowning in a guarded area in over 40 years. So we hope that, pray that we can keep doing that. Through our junior guard program, I want to introduce Cam Keaton. He moved up from the ranks. He started 5 years ago as a regular junior lifeguard through our program. Got a job at the pool, worked part-time there. Moved over to the beach, got his first responder, and started working very hard to become a full-timer. And I'm happy to say he just completed his EMT and is now one of our full-time staff.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
But I really appreciate you guys having us here and helping us promote beach safety. Thank you.
I do have a real quick question. How old is the junior lifeguard? What are the ages for that?
It starts out from 9 to 17, and they can work their way all the way up to 17, and we try to recruit, once they get to about 16, get them trained as a lifeguard so then they can move up to a regular lifeguard. But you have to be 18 to come out to the beach. So
out to the beach. But you can start at 9 at the pool or in the junior lifeguard program.
Yeah, we're actually molding the junior guard now more towards recruitment. It used to be more of a camp, so now we're kind of molding it because we have a national lifeguard shortage.
Wow.
So we're trying to.
And if somebody wanted to learn more information about that, where would they need to go?
Call either one of our pools or the rec department.
Okay, fantastic, wonderful. That's a great program. Thank you.
All right, come on up, John.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, that's awesome. Are you from Vero? Sebastian, close enough, that's good, great.
All right, awesome.
There's more where that came from.
Hey, Beth, how are you? Good to see you. All here?
Is he certified?
great
He's
job,
over
guys.
Proclamation.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
We do not have any minutes, so now we move to informational items, and we have a handful of retirement proclamations that will not be read here this morning, but will be presented to the folks, but I would like to acknowledge them and their years of service. So we have Nancy Wood, who is with the Department of Community Development, County Planning Division. She is retiring with 21 years of service. So Nancy, thank you for 21 years of service. Earl Hardwick with Public Works and Road and Bridge, retiring with 28 years of service. Earl, thank you for your dedication. Ann Rankin, Human Resources, with 34 years of service. And Ann, you're beating me out by a couple months, but I'll be right behind you. And thank you, Ann, for 34 years. That's tremendous. William Stevenson, Public Works, Road and Bridge, 33 years of service. William, thank you for all that. And then Don Wallace, Department of Community Development, Building Division, with 17 years of service. Don, we'll miss your bright and sunny face every morning there, and thank you for your 17 years of service. So thank you to all those long-term employees that are moving on into retirement. Yeah. Commissioners, we added an item. I just wanted to briefly highlight the fact that over the next several weeks, we have a series of additional workshops for our visiting process. There is one this afternoon at 4 o'clock at Indian River State College, the Richardson Center. On Wednesday, May 25th, there's a 2 o'clock meeting at the Vero Beach Community Center, and then an evening meeting starting at 6 o'clock at the Intergenerational Building on Oslo Road. And then Thursday, June 2nd, there's a morning and evening meeting in the Gifford community. So folks, you can go to the county webpage and then go under County A to Z, click on MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization, and you'll find a link to the schedule. It's also in Spanish, so we have both there. And it's important, hopefully, to get a lot of people to come out and provide their input. Some good news, Larry Reisman, the opinion writer with TC Palm, has been writing several articles about the visioning process, and hopefully that'll generate some public interest and get more people out. The bad news is Mr. Reisman seems to be very critical of the process we've used, and in particular, his most recent article seemed to imply that our planning staff was not up to snuff to do the job. and that he recommended that we coordinate with the city of Sebastian, the city of Vero Beach, and the city of Fellsmere. And my response to that is, if you look at the debacle that was the Graves annexation headlined by the Sebastian City Council and the resulting turnover in the city council and the disruption all that led to, I'm not really sure we want to follow Sebastian's planning lead. City of Vero Beach, they're pretty much built out. Their only growth planning is by annexing land out of the county and rezoning that at a higher density right off Indian River Boulevard, right near the lagoon. So if Mr. Reisman is worried about growth impacting the lagoon, I'm not thinking we want to take a lesson from the city of Vero Beach. And then Fellsmere, Fellsmere grew by annexing land from the county that was zoned agriculture, and now it is rezoned for thousands of homes. So if Mr. Reisman is worried about a large growth in the population, again, I'm not sure we want to follow what Fellsmere has been doing. And I just want to publicly say that I think our planning staff is doing a fantastic job on this. Trying to predict the future and look 20 years, 30 years down the road is not an easy task. If it was easy, we'd all be picking the winners of the Super Bowls in 20 years from now. And so I think they've done an exceptional job. It's not an easy job, but they have worked hard, and they're putting a lot of effort into this. And I'll just remind you that they live here too, and they have families, and they enjoy the life here in Indian River County. And so I just want to say thank you to our planning department and everyone that's worked on this process. I think you all are doing a fantastic job, regardless of what we may or may not read in the media. Jason, did you want to add a comment?
Yeah, thank you. Well stated, Commissioner O'Brien. Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that I don't think the article was complimentary of county planning staff. I think we've got the best planning staff out there, and they're doing a great job. And this, one of the criticisms that Larry had before, we didn't have a night meeting. There's 3 night meetings on that schedule that you just read, as well as meetings all over the community. I don't think the reference that we could gain some expertise from our colleagues in the municipalities. Maybe we could say the same thing to him about some of his colleagues in journalism. So I think I think it's good that he's shining light on this, and I think that will help attendance at these, maybe, because we want everybody to come out. This is very important, but I think it was unwarranted, the criticism of county staff. They've done a great job. They're continuing on the work that hasn't been done. A lot has been talked about the quality of life we have. The quality of life we have is thanks in a large part to the planning activities that we've done over here over decades, and the current staff is continuing on in that tradition, and they are doing a tremendous job. They're great professionals. They know exactly what we want in this community, I believe, and I just couldn't commend them more on the great job that they're doing. So thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Jason. Commissioner Moss?
On a brighter note, I just want to say that last night the vision workshop in Sebastian, I was there. It was very interesting to hear what the community had to say. Thank you very much to everyone who participated. But afterward, Brian Friedman, and he is one of our planning people. In fact, he's the director of the MPO. He told me that this morning they were actually going out to one of the high schools. I believe it was a charter high school, if I remember correctly. So they're not only expecting people to come to these different locations, but they're actually taking this information out to the people who are exactly our future, to the high school. And I just thought that was wonderful. So I just thought I didn't know about it, and I thought I'd mention it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Adams?
Yeah, I just quickly, it's my recollection at the original workshop, the first workshop, we had presentations by the City of Sebastian and the City of Vero Beach. They have been included in this process. I know planning staff has reached out to them, and I thoroughly enjoyed what they have on the books for what their thoughts on what is going on in the future. I know they have been included in that process. It is incumbent upon us as a community, and by a community I'm including the municipalities and the towns and everybody in our entire county, to coordinate on what our future is going to look like and have input on that. And we have reached out to everybody. We are doing our best to reach out to those communities and go to those communities that might not be able to come to us. But my comment is the cities have been included. They have given us great input. They will continue to give us input, I'm sure. This is not a process that is being run in a vacuum. And, it is unfortunate that sometimes darts are thrown. I think what needs to happen here is we're coming together to create a vision for how we want to move forward. And that requires everybody to be on board, and that requires everybody to participate, because what we do as a county impacts the cities, but what the cities do also impacts the county. And without that dialogue back and forth, it's not going to work. And I think that what is seen in the public might not be reflective of the conversations that go on externally between our organization and the municipalities and even the region. We reach out to Brevard and St. Lucie and the cities within those counties to see what's going on, because there are trends on the Treasure Coast that require us to address those growth patterns. And, we're doing that. It might not always happen at a public meeting, but those conversations happen. But I did want to point out that both cities did give a presentation at our first workshop, and I know Mr. Reisman and a lot of the community were there and heard those presentations, so they have been a partner in this, and we do appreciate that.
Mr. Paladin?
Morning, ladies and gentlemen, commissioners. I'm Joseph Paladin. I was chairman of the Growth Awareness Committee for 10 years, several years ago. I'm chairman of the Land Use Committee of the IRNA, and I'm also in the process of putting together a new committee, which the IRNA has 100% supported me of, and various staff members I've spoken to have worked with me, called the Urban Service Line Awareness Committee. And so we're in the process of trying to do some of the same things we did 15 years ago with the Growth Awareness Committee, and put the right group of people in the room together and contact the right people. No one person has the answers to this. The biggest complaint I have against all of this is everybody has complaints. There's very, very few people have come forward with answers. And that's what we did with the Growth Awareness Committee 15 years ago. And that's what my plan is now. My committee's not going to have the answers to this, but my committee's smart enough. We have enough people on this committee with enough experience like myself. We're going to bring people in from out of the area to help us with the future design of what's going to happen with the urban service line and with Indian River County. The plan we have is to go forward with a plan, maybe moving the urban service line in phases and not hurting the other cities, and incorporating the cities that work with us in Indian River County. We're going to incorporate everybody in this. And so we are doing something. It's a lot of work. It's not an easy job. It's easy to find fault. It's not easy to find answers. And we're here to put a committee together to try and find answers. So I just want to let you know we are doing something. The county's working with me, staff's working with me, and the IRNA has given me their full support. So I just want to let you know that that is happening. We are doing things behind the scenes. We just don't get out. A good friend of mine, Gary Wheeler, a long time ago told me, Joe, don't pick a fight with somebody that buys paper by the roll and ink by the barrel. So I'm not trying to pick a fight with Mr. Reisman. I'm just trying to work with Mr. Reisman and let him know that we are doing something, and I'm putting my time in on this and my expertise. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Paladin. Commissioners, moving on. Phil? Good morning, Phil. Welcome.
Good morning, Phil Mattson, Community Development Director. On behalf of staff, I really want to thank you for the kind words of support. We are working very hard on this. I've charged everybody with personally going out and trying to, get your friends and neighbors to participate. And obviously last night we had commissioners present. Commissioner Moss was there. You can't accuse that room of being insiders. I mean, there was public people there. There were high school kids. There was, all sorts of people there. So my thanks to the Sebastian and the larger community. Yeah, I could go point by point on some of the editorial and talk about things. So rather than do that, a couple of sublime ironies. I mean, the first, the magnitude of the Fellsmere annexation, over 30,000 acres, originally zoned at 1 unit per 10 acres, 3,000 people, 2 people per acre now. That's over 70,000 people. So if that's not a 2,000% increase in population from those annexations over the years, and, the title of the article was Sick of Growth, and then we're told to look to Fellsmere's lead. So, thank you for pointing that out, Commissioner And it's not to say Fellsmere is not a great partner and not trying to do things the right way, but I think that's an irony of the article. You know, and kind of a second one is, fundamentally through it all, the article talks about the basic principles that we've distilled down that we all agree on as a community, everybody in all of the cities. Conservation of sensitive environmental land, diversity of housing and affordability, a healthy economy, a healthy agriculture, maintain who we are, a rural character. They like the fundamental conclusions that we have so far that are going to be driving LDR amendments, and yet they don't like the process that got to it. So, you know, I really don't know where to go with this, but I do want to thank you for understanding we're working very hard on this. I think we're coming up with a great product, and we're very, very dedicated, and we are citizens here too, and we share in all this. So thank you.
Thank you, Phil. And Phil, stay the course, okay? Don't let this detour you. You guys are doing a great job. Stay with it. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay.
It means a lot to staff.
All right. Okay, Commissioners, consent agenda. I would like to pull G and H. Does anyone wish to pull any other items for additional discussion?
I'd like to pull K.
Mr. Vice Chair Ehrman pulls K. Anyone else? Is there anyone from the public that wishes to have a consent agenda item pulled for additional discussion? Okay, seeing none.
Yeah, move approval as amended.
We have a motion by Commissioner Flesher, second by Commissioner Adams. All in favor signify with aye. Any opposed? That carries 5-0. Commissioners, item G is a staff request for a stormwater summer camp, and item H is very similar, a summer camp partnership with the Learning Alliance, which is spearheading the Moonshot Moment reading program. And I just want to kind of give out add a girl to Alexis for spearheading this. I think it's a great thing we're doing. The one summer camp is partnered with the Audubon Society using the Audubon House down there on Oslo. It has a very, very minor, I think $700 or something cost to it, which I think is well worth having Alexis get out there in front of the kids and show them some of our stormwater projects and what's going on. So very, very supportive of that. And of course, partnering with the Learning Alliance and the Moonshot Moment, that's just taking a little bit of staff time, which again, I think is well worth it and very valuable. So I just want to give a big shout out to Alexis for moving this forward. And I think it's a great thing, and I know you'll do a great job and make us all proud. So thank you, Alexis. Did you want to add anything to it? Don't be shy.
I'd like to hear more about it.
Come on. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning, thank you. Yes, I'm very excited to host my own stormwater-led camp again this year. It's been quite a few years since I've gotten to lead a summer camp, but I am immeasurably thankful to Audubon because by providing their facility, their van, their volunteer co-leader for me, it really makes this camp more doable, more fun because there's less logistics involved from our staff time. And we get to reach more children at the same time. So, no, I'm very thankful and grateful to the board for approval.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I'll be glad to entertain a motion for G and H.
Approval. Move approval.
We have motion by Commissioner Flesher, second by Vice Chair Ehrman for both item G and H. All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carries 5-0. Mr. Vice Chair Ehrman, item K, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a reference to the approval of revised agreement of use of facilities with Indian River County and the School Board of Indian River County. This is a great thing. This is going to allow the use of more facilities between the two of us. Say, for instance, we're having a basketball tournament at the IAG Center, and we need an additional basketball court to handle the teams. Oslo Middle School may be open, or some of the other venues are open. I think it's a great idea. We're able to use South County and Fran Adams Park for softball, baseball, things of that nature. It's just an overall a great thing, and I want to go ahead and move approval with this, but I also want to tag on something else I want to talk about, and I thought this was a good time to do it, since we're talking about facilities. And Assistant Superintendent Seymour's here, and he may want to elaborate on it, if he will. The schools, since with security reasons over the years, have kind of cordoned off their playgrounds and their open space and their open fields that's so valuable to the county. And I've been in communication with school member Barefoot and a few others and talking about this, and they're trying to talk their risk manager into going ahead and opening up these playgrounds. I would like to encourage us to have either a letter from you, Mr. Chairman, or from the county administrator, encouraging them to go ahead and follow through with opening up their playgrounds so they can be used after hours and on weekends for folks to enjoy, just like we did. I know I don't live far from Glendale Elementary School, and my kids growing up, they went to school there, and also we used the playground, late in the afternoon or daylight savings time or on weekends sometimes. And due to security reasons, they haven't been able to do that. There may be a cost like that, but I know we've been talking about that. I've been talking about that with some of the board members of the school board, and they seem to be for it. I think it's just a matter of maybe giving them a nudge to say that we would support that. We've been talking about that with the new, I'm on the committee for the Graves Park right across from the high school that the school board wants to do. And we were, there's a few of us that have been telling this committee how important green space is. Just, green space out there doesn't have to have foul lines on it or a pitching mound on it or anything else, that people can use open space. And schools that come to mind, such as Clemens out there on 4th Street and 27th Avenue in Glendale, have a lot of green space that would be open to people to use, and I think that's important. So, Assistant Superintendent, anything you'd like to add about it, the facility agreement or what I just spoke about?
Good morning, welcome.
Good morning to the board, to the chair, thank you. Yes, you mentioned it. The primary goal right now is for everyone to feel safe, and we of course are concerned about injuries, and as you are aware, normally when you use our facilities, it's covered. So when we have a representative that's available to manage while we are out of service, things will be fine. So I know that we're going to remain amicable, and we've done some great things, and I think we're going to actually create more opportunity, not only for your programs, but however you work with our kids as well. So of the 17,000 students, I'm sure that a portion of those individuals are working within your programs. So we're talking about the same students. Of course, whenever you do send a letter, I think our board would be willing to discuss any other options and support you in whatever way we can necessary to make it better for the students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ehrman, why don't you go ahead and make a motion just for the consent agenda item, and then we can tackle the letter separately.
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve 8K.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Ehrman, second by Commissioner Fleischer. Any discussion? All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carries 5-0. And then Vice Chair Ehrman, maybe have you work with Assistant Superintendent Seymour and Dylan to draft a letter supporting the freeing up the use of the lands, and then have Dylan bring that back under an item for approval down the road? Good with that. Okay. Commissioners, everybody okay with that?
Certainly.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll just do that then. Okay. Thank you. No constitutional officers. Commissioners, we passed on the Memorial Day proclamation, and I see all the veteran representatives are here. So with your consideration and appreciation, I'd like to go ahead and have Vice Chair Ehrman present the Memorial Day proclamation, and then we will also take care of 10B, the request to speak regarding the Mary Snyder Annual Golf Tournament, if everybody is okay with that. And so with that, you all come on up to the podium. Curtis? That's you guys. Somebody wake them up. And
wandering, I look up here and all I see is two teams.
So Curtis, we got you doing two things. One, you're receiving the Memorial Day proclamation, and then your item on the golf tournament. So Vice Chairman Ehrman.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. It is my honor to read this proclamation in recognition of Memorial Day, and as I believe Commissioner Moss said at the beginning of our Pledge of Allegiance, Memorial Day is Memorial Day for a certain reason, to remember those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. And without those people, again, to use a phrase from another fellow commissioner, it wouldn't be the land of the free without the brave. So, right?
Yes, sir.
So, all right, let me read this proclamation, and it's an honor for me to do. Proclamation recognition of Memorial Day 2022. Whereas in the years following the end of the Civil War, flowers were placed on soldiers' graves as a solemn reminder of the scourge of war and the bitter aftermath of sorrow. And whereas the Congress, in a joint resolution approved May 11th, 1950, provided that Memorial Day should be set aside as a day of prayer for permanent peace. And whereas Memorial Day is a cherished tradition, one whose observance helps us appreciate our history, our values, and our responsibilities by reminding us that freedom is not free, and that America is strongest when we set aside personal differences and strive together. And whereas on Memorial Day, we revere those who came from every part of the country, of every background and belief, and united to answer the call to protect and preserve the ideals of democracy, and now lie in a hallowed graves, having sacrificed their lives so that war might end and all people may live in freedom and prosperity. And whereas Memorial Day honored those who put the welfare of their fellow Americans before their own, performed their duties loyally and selflessly without thought of recognition or personal safety, and went further and endured longer to contribute to the greater national effort. And whereas the Veterans Council of Indian River County, consisting of 28 veterans organizations representing over 18,000 veterans residing in the county, will host numerous Memorial Day ceremonies on Monday, May 30th, 2022. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Indian River County, Florida, that the Board urges all Indian River County residents to join together and rededicate ourselves to strengthening our nation's promise to pray for permanent peace and to honor our fallen fellow Americans, both known and unknown, who sacrificed their freedom to ensure our own. Adopted this 17th day of May, 2022, and signed by all 5 county commissioners. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you, Commissioners. I just want to make sure first that if there's anybody here from the Veterans Council that was supposed to accept this proclamation, I was unaware of it. That's why I was a little thrown off. So I don't want to step on anybody's toes or get any more enemies than the couple that I might have. But if not, obviously, there's 3 of us up here that are veterans, and there's 4 of us that do everything for the veterans and advocate for us. And it's greatly, greatly appreciated. And if there isn't, I'd be happy to accept it. And I don't know if anybody else knows.
We feel it's in good hands, Curtis, don't worry.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Sarge. Mr. Chairman, it is, they were over Vero accepting, and perhaps maybe the timing is not right, but you were there as well.
Yes.
And I wanted to point out that Memorial Day is for all of our citizens, all of our veterans. Unfortunately, we had Dale Cridlow. Unfortunately, we had Scott Owens in recent time that was just on the wrong spot on the coal and got hit. We've given up sons from Vero Beach, from Indian River County, and the recognition comes in all forms. And I want to thank also Tony Young, Colonel Tony Young, for ensuring that the cenotaphs are correct and they recognize the ultimate sacrifice that has been made for our freedom. So when you say, if there was anybody else from the council, it's all one.
Roger that. And being, I've been on the board for 15 years for Memorial Island. I actually co-chair it. So it's very special to me also. And the actual, at the city, just, I know that you guys had your meeting going on. They actually had the Coast Guard come and accept that award. So, but it's very well
Thank you.
deserved throughout our whole county, and thanks to all our veterans, and thanks to you guys. Okay.
So Curtis, we will segue right into what the Vietnam veterans are doing with their Mary Snyder Golf Tournament.
Okay, and
Yeah.
this is a collaboration between the veterans of Indian River County, not to be confused with the Veterans Council of Indian River County, which I served 7-8 years, 5 years as vice president. I have a couple of people with me that I'd like to go ahead and briefly tell you some of the great things that we do with this collaboration and where some of these funds are going to go from this golf tournament, if it's okay with the council.
Please, yeah.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Mary Ann Koenig.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having us. I just want to give a brief story. I promise I won't draw it out. I used to split my time between here and New York. And when I lived in New York, I volunteered at the Bronx VA hospital. I did that for 12 years. And I met a gentleman in the dialysis unit where I worked who was a combat veteran from Vietnam. He was a really great guy. Everybody loved him, and he was active in the community. He was a past president of the Vietnam Veterans Association, of that chapter. He advocated for the other patients in the hospital. And because he had end-stage renal disease, kidney disease, he ended up with diabetes. And a lot of people who have that disease end up with circulation problems. So eventually they amputated one of his legs, and then they had to amputate the other. So Mr. Sawyers ended up in a motorized wheelchair, and I don't know if any of you have ever been to the Bronx VA, but it's a very large facility. And the nursing home is right on the grounds there, so they put Mr. Sawyers in the nursing home. And that's not where he wanted to be. He wanted to be home. But at his house in the Bronx, there were a series of large concrete steps. And the only way he was going to go home was if somebody would build a ramp for him to get that wheelchair up to the house. And myself and a few others at the hospital tried to help him get that done. And I spoke to maybe 6 or 8 different contractors in the Bronx, tried to get the materials or the labor donated, spoke to the Vietnam Veterans Association, who couldn't help us with the financing because if they did it for him, they'd have to do it for everyone. So ultimately, Mr. Sawyers was in the nursing home for, I think, 1.5 years, and he never made it home. He died in the nursing home. So with what I see go on with these veterans organizations locally here in Indian River County, that would not have happened here. It would never happen here. I've seen them in action. A veteran needs assistance, they find the people, they find the resources, and they get things like that done. And I know for sure, because I have a small anecdote about myself. I used to write for TC Palm, and I was doing an article about a veteran named Cash Adams, who was 91 at the time. He's not with us any longer. But he was in the third wave that went on shore at Iwo Jima as a 20-year-old Marine. And what he said to me was he had to learn how not to be afraid in doing that. So Cash, at the end of our interview, said to me that he had a tricycle that he liked to ride around the facility here. And both of the back tires were flat, and he couldn't ride it anymore, and he was really frustrated. So when the article came out, I took it over to Orchid Island Bike and Kayak, and I met with Malcolm Allen, the owner. You guys may know him. And I put the article on the counter, and I started to tell him the story, and I didn't even have to finish my sentence. He said, "We'll take care of it. Just give me the guy's number, we'll get it done." And I checked in with Cash about a week later, and he said they came over, they picked up my trike, they put 2 new tires on the back, they totally refurbished it, and I'm out riding the tricycle again at 91. So that's what's different about what goes on here. I mean, nobody is going to equate the Bronx with Vero Beach or Indian River County, right? They're 2 different entities. But because of the kind of community we have, how closely we work together, and the resources we know we can draw on, the work that Vic and Curtis are doing is very important. We just want to ask for your continued support. So thanks for letting me do that.
Thank you for those stories.
Thank you.
Morning, welcome.
I know most of these. I'm Vic Diaz. I'm on executive board of Vietnam Veterans of Indian River County. We're also known as Vietnam and all veterans of Indian River County. We don't discriminate. If you're a veteran, we deal with it. I've known Mr. Flesher and Mrs. Moss for many years. I consider them good friends. Their hearts are helping veterans. I know Mr. Flesher there has a couple that will eventually be veterans themselves. But one of the things that you have to know about our group is. Our mission is to serve those who were born the price for freedom. That's a huge responsibility for us. I'm an old combat Marine from Vietnam, and, you know, we always ran towards the conflict, not away from it. Most of us thought our DIs would be right behind us, and so we were running forward away from them, but we still carry that with us throughout our lives. You know, it's important to note that, you know, that there's somebody out here that when they get a call to help a veteran, is going to help that veteran. We had one former Marine he got evicted for not payment of rent. I got a call, went over. Luckily, I had a bed. And the only reason I had a bed because the guy that was in that bed was in the hospital, paralyzed from the neck down because he did something and they did surgery. But anyway, I got him in his bed temporarily, hoping the guy would come back out, but it doesn't look like it. So I've got a veteran in a hospital and I got a veteran in a bed, but the veteran in the bed has got all his stuff over at his house and no way to get it. So, well, we got it for him. He couldn't get it because his truck was broke down in there. So we hauled his truck over. We got a tow truck and hauled that over. $800 later, it was repaired. We repaired it. It's fine. We had a 63-year-old veteran living in his house for 3 years. No water. Hoarder. Got a few guys together, put a dumpster out there, 75 bags later of junk, big black bags junk, it's in there. That's what we do. We also help veterans with claims. And that allows them to, if we win it, get their own place. You have to understand it's really tough right now. With inflation the way it is, you know, this golf tournament is what helps us get from year to year. And the money is appreciated because we can help buy food, buy clothing, do what we need to do for the veterans in this community. Keep in mind, as an old Marine, I was taught the 10% rule. There's over 15,000 veterans in this county. That's 1,500 that I'm looking at. I got to find them. And we're doing a good job finding them, and that's why we need the help and support of the council. Though you've been with us, I met you 14 years ago, Laura, the same way. And, you know, their heart is the same as my heart. We do not leave our brothers or sisters behind, and that's why we appreciate your support. And this is Vince McNally. He's got one more program he wants to tell you real quick.
Again, my name is Vince McNally. I'm the secretary for the Vietnam Veterans and All Veterans of Indian River County. My story, just before Vic said that, I had to thank him because for 6-7 years ago I came in. I didn't know I had a problem, and I didn't know the veterans would pay anything for a disability, to which I got, thanks to filling out the forms and such. I'd been working prior to that 33 years with the FBI. I was the administrator for the Employee Assistance Program. I didn't know that there was veterans advantages or any benefits. So I learned quickly that this is a viable program and a program that works. We now assist, as some of you have seen, at Veterans Court. This is an important program. I've seen veterans really down, commit crimes, but come back. I've seen one who's now part of our program as a mentor. I believe in the program such that I now am an instructor in that program nationally. So this program works. All monies we help housing through the court, counseling, and as well as housing. So this program works. I'm sticking with it, and we're going to make it work better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners, for listening, and hopefully every veterans organization in this community does some great things incredible things. And I've lived it firsthand. I've seen it firsthand. But this collaboration that we have right here, we're the only ones that do housing. So this golf tournament helps. And because of you and because of Mike Zito and his staff, this golf tournament has turned into the biggest golf tournament that Indian River County sees. And I know Mr. O'Brien played in it. I know Mr. Ehrman played in it. I know Mr. Brown played in it. And I know Mr. Zito's played in it. So anyway, the tournament is June 18th. Of course, I do it the day before Father's Day for particular reason, but that reason. This year, unfortunately, I had to go up $5. So for 18 holes of golf and a luncheon at the fairgrounds, $75. And I keep it low for a reason. It's because we want the veterans to come out. We want the community to come out and say hello to these veterans. Because I know I'm a veteran. You guys know that we're veterans back here. But for someone that's having a little bit of trouble in life transitioning, just to come up and someone's come up, say Mr. Ehrman comes up to him and says, "Thank you for your service." It does mean a lot. And it really, really does. And every one of you have done that to every veteran that I've seen that you guys interact with. And it's greatly appreciated. We have a website, vvirc.org/events. I believe it's also, I think Caitlin had put it on the county's website also. That's where you can sign up for a team, or you can sponsor if you, there you go. Commissioner O'Brien has always got it going on. So, but we'd like to see you out there this year. I know you're getting ready to retire, but you know, these guys and girls, and I know Commissioner Fleischer's there all the time. So, but the shotgun start is at 08, but we're going to go ahead and check in at 0700. We have some military singing and a few things that we're going to do just prior to the event, and have a couple dignitaries speak. And but we could not do this without you, and I mean it. I mean, this thing started with 70 golfers, and I think I saw Bella back there. You know, and Bella's worked with me hand in hand with this, and now 250 golfers. Yeah. And then we're going to try to max it at 288 this year. And Bella said that's all you can do. You know, but Bella's with us, and Mike and everyone, and it's greatly appreciated, and it really, really is. You guys are great, and thank you very, very much for all your support, and I sincerely mean it.
Curtis, for the average person, it's 7 a.m. is registration and 8 a.m. is the shotgun start, right?
Roger that.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that, Commissioner.
Well, we'll look forward to a great event, and that's at the county Sandridge course, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep, both
Perfect.
Courses. And as I said, the luncheon is at the fairgrounds, and Scott does an incredible job. So that's where it's going to be, and that's immediately following the tournament itself, where awards and raffles will be also.
Well, come on up and get your proclamation.
All right, greatly appreciated, and thank you again.
Dodge.
Awesome, buddy. Good job.
Thank you.
You'll know who to give that to.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Thanks for coming down. Always great to see you. Thanks for
Jason, I'd like to see you this year, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
It's good seeing you again.
Nice to see you. Another 20.
All right, good job,
Thank
guys.
you for all you're doing.
I'll call you later.
Thank you, John. All right, so we move back now to public items, public hearings. First one, 10A1, the local option gas tax distribution percentages. This is legislative in nature, and Jason, are you or Rich going to kick this off?
I will kick it off by introducing Rich Spierka, our
Perfect.
Public Works Director, who's going to handle this.
Great punt.
And I'm Rich Berger, the Public Works Director.
All right.
How
You
we
were
all
just
doing?
introduced.
What we have before you today is the local option gas tax distribution percentages. By Chapter 209 of the Code of Ordinances, we need to bring this to the board every couple of years. It shares the local option gas tax with 5 municipalities based on a formula that was created in 1990, I believe. The percentage of the total revenue allocated to each eligible entity equals 1/3 of the entity's percentage of total equivalent lane miles, of road plus 1/3 of the entity's percentage of transportation expenditures over the previous 5 years plus 1/3 of the entity's total percentage of population residing in the area based upon the most recent estimate from the Florida Bureau of Economic and Business Research. We've been using this formula for quite some time. The attached is the 2022 updated table for computation of the local option gas tax distribution percentages. The new percentages will be sent to the Florida Department of Revenue for implementation on September 1st, 2022. Now, I need to tell you that the city of Sebastian contacted Jason Brown on Thursday, late Thursday, and requested that this item be postponed so that we could have a discussion about the formulas. Monty Falls, the city manager of Vero, also was in favor of that. Jason had conversations with Mr. Carlisle, and Mr. Carlisle since has withdrawn his request for postponement. The reason being is this is set in an ordinance, so in order to change anything that we've been doing, we'd have to do an ordinance change. So while we're open to discussions with the municipalities, it's too late in the game as we need to have this completed. I need to have this by the code to the Department of Revenue by June 15th. So with that, staff recommends approval of the 22-23 revenue distribution percentages.
Commissioners, any questions of staff? Commissioner Moss.
We would be approving it for 1 year then? Is that what we're saying? It'll come back in a year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right, this is a public hearing. We'll go ahead and open it up. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners? Is that Commissioner Fleischer second?
Didn't move.
Okay, I'll go ahead and second it. We have a motion by Commissioner Adams, second by myself. All in favor of the motion signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries 5-0. And just, Jason, we'll leave it to you to contact the various city managers and get the ball rolling or whatever or at least meet with them and hear what they suggest.
Yeah, we'll have a meeting and talk to them about,
Okay.
about the potential changes, and if we arrive at something, we'll bring that back.
Okay. Second public hearing is consideration of a proposed land development regulation amendment to section 930.07 to require new manufactured homes within the flood hazard area to be elevated 1 foot above base flood elevation. Mr. Spirica, welcome again, with no introduction this time.
I'll just have to wing it this time. So back in 1978, the county was accepted into the National Flood Protection Insurance Program. And in 1990, we passed a stormwater ordinance that helped us move forward with a community rating system, which is a voluntary program that allows us to protect the floodplain, and at the same time, we are able to get a classification which reduces our flood insurance. With each classification, it's a 5%. Right now, we're a class 6, which is a 20% reduction in flood insurance for the county's residents. With that said, in 2020, the NFIP did some changes to the system. And in order to do that, they have mandated that a new class, in order to keep your rating system, you needed to change your ordinances or change your codes to meet their new requirements. In this particular case, in order to keep our rating system, the only thing they found in our codes was that the mobile homes, we needed to change the wording in our code for the raising of mobile homes, which instead of 3 feet plus a foot of freeboard, it is now basically just the frame needs to be 1 foot above the base flood elevation, which actually, when you analyze it, it helps. You don't have to raise the mobile homes so high now in areas that are established with base flood elevations. So the CRS communities must meet the Class 9 prerequisites If a minimum of Class 9 prerequisites are not met, the county will be retrograded to a Class 10. The community must adopt and enforce at least a 1-foot freeboard requirement, including machinery and equipment, for all residential buildings constructed, substantially improved, and/or reconstructed due to substantial damage throughout its special flood hazard area, where base flood elevations have been determined, or flood insurance rating maps, or in a flood insurance study, except for the county to fully comply with this, that we need to change our language as it relates to mobile homes, as I stated before, where the areas of BFEs is not available will be revised. Currently, mobile homes located in unnumbered A zones have to be 36 inches above the BFE with a 1-foot freeboard requirement. The rule revision doesn't allow that anymore. So the new language will now state that manufactured homes that are replaced, or subsequently improved that are located in flood hazard areas, coastal high hazard areas, and coastal A zones shall be elevated such that the bottom of the frame is at or above the base flood elevation plus 1 foot. Staff has modified the whereas clause in this also to reflect this change. And on April 14th of 2022, P&Z approved this at a public hearing and recommended that the board adopt the proposed ordinances. Staff recommends the Board of County Commissioners adopt the proposed manufactured flood zone ordinance. With that, I'll answer any questions.
Commissioners, any questions of staff? We'll open up public hearing. Does anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Commissioners.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Fleischer.
I just wanted to ask Rich, with the change, the modification, understanding it's for public safety and for flood protection, the elevation of the home will mean the elevation of the home with block and tie downs or whatever, or warranted as engineered, but the earth itself will not be altered, because there was a concern. I did get a couple of calls about that.
No, they can just raise it like they normally do. They just got to make sure the bottom, the blocks that they sit on are at the base flood elevation, which is basically the frame. That's what the ordinance is. No fill. No.
That doesn't change on the fill?
No, sir. Does not change.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioners.
Staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Fleischer, second by Vice Chair Ehrman. All in favor signify with aye. Any opposed? That carries 5-0. Thank you, Rich.
Commissioner, if I may. So, and I didn't want to say this earlier, but Carrie Condiff, who is our CRS coordinator, who is standing in the back there, we just went through a 5-year audit, and based on her hard work and hard work of staff, we have been able to go from a Class 6 to a Class 5 CRS rating. That means another 5% insurance reduction for our residents. So we were provided that letter, the preliminary letter, last week, and we hope to have the letter, the official letter is due this week. I just thought the board should know that we've gone up a class. We got more insurance rate deduction for our residents, and I have to tell you that Carrie is just a hard worker on this, and she really did a really good job in our 5-year audit.
Awesome. Carrie, great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Commissioners, it's a little past 10:30. We can either take a break or knock off the next two public hearings real quick. What's your pleasure?
Let's do the public hearings and then take a break.
Okay, I'm good with that. Next is the Children's Services Advisory Committee ordinance. This is legislative in nature, and Mr. Reingold.
Good morning. On March 1st, the Board of County Commissioners voted to direct the County Attorney's Office to move forward with an ordinance amending the Children's Services Advisory Committee portion of the ordinance code to address several of the issues that came up during the considerations of the Children's Trust. In addition to those changes, the board directed the County Attorney's Office to include issues about the person of the business person, and also to serve as a qualified applicant, and also directed the County Attorney's Office to increase the millage cap in the Children's Services Advisory Committee ordinance from 0.125 to 0.25. Since that time, we had a public hearing. on the matter at our last Board of County Commissioners meeting. Pursuant to the board's request, we made some additional changes concerning changes regulating the board, and also changes to section 103.23 and section 103.24. I also had two additional changes that were added to the item ordinance in the agenda item, changing basically health to healthy, or healthy to health, and then also deleted an extra period that we found in 103.21. And then finally, just as doing a final review, the ordinance found that they needed to change section 130.21 to actually 103.21. Not sure how the numbers got transposed there. But otherwise, I've tried my best to incorporate the changes made by the board at the last public hearing. And in addition to the other small technical changes I've added here, simply just recommend the board open up the public hearing today, take any public comment on the ordinance, and then vote to approve the ordinance with the changes the board recommended and the additional technical changes that I've asked for. With that, I turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you, Dylan. Commissioners, anything of staff?
I have one question.
Commissioner Moss.
This is on section 103.27, which is distribution, use of funds now. That's a new term. Number 14. And in the last paragraph, and I believe it's the next to last sentence, it has to do with funding, of course, and it says, I'm not going to read the whole sentence, it's too long, but it says, or where children's services can most economically and efficiently be provided by county through the establishment of county-run programs. So, I don't think that's something that we've done in the past. What kind of county-run programs are we referring to there?
So, Commissioner, through the chair to Commissioner Moss, I can tell you that is language that was in the original draft ordinance that was presented to the board back in January of 2020, I believe under Commissioner O'Brien's items. Since then, we've had several meetings, workshops, changes to the proposed language. I haven't until now heard any changes about this particular language. I'm happy to address them or listen to the board as to whatever changes the board wants to make to that particular section. I know that's a section that's been in there since the inception of the discussion of the ordinance.
I would say we just approved 2 programs with the stormwater camps, would be a good example of working with children, and that's a county-funded program that we implemented, that we approved earlier today.
Well, maybe I'm not reading it correctly, but it seems to me that it says that we're actually going to run it. I mean, with Audubon's running it, or with Moonshot's running it. This says, I think it says county run.
If I can just
yes, county run.
Address that, Commissioner Moss. I think it's important to go back and read the entirety of the sentence, even though it is long, because it says that it may include. It doesn't say it will, it says it may, so it gives an option that if there is a whole in service being delivered to the community, that the county has the option, if there's nobody else running these programs, to create a program, I think, to address whatever that issue may be. And I think that gets back to that language that we discussed last week, where you could have an RFP process outside the regular funding cycle. So if something comes up and that needs assessment, and there's a need that is not being addressed by the community providers at this time, maybe it would be incumbent upon the county to step in and then try to wean something off onto another program at the time. But I do agree with the chair that this would open those types of opportunities, similar to what the stormwater program, or partnering with Learning Alliance, partnering with Audubon, which are also CSAC-funded programs, to give that flexibility. I don't think the intention is for the county to take up massive after-school programs. I think it's to give flexibility for us to address needs immediately as they're identified, outside of that funding cycle. And the other thing I would point out is, as we move through this ordinance and this process, we have committed to a certain funding level. So there is additional funding available in the future that CSAC hasn't been able to utilize right now. So this gives us the ability to kind of turn on a dime when an issue comes up within the community that we might need to address, in October, instead of waiting for that whole CSAC cycle. That's how I view it. It just provides a little bit more flexibility. I do not think the intention is for us to set up some kind of, whole on after school programming brouhaha kind of thing.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
And Commissioner Adams, I know you had some comments last week. Have you satisfied that all your concerns have been addressed?
My numerous comments and suggested changes have been incorporated, and I'm good to go.
Very good. Okay. Go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Commissioners? I'll second that. We have a motion by Commissioner Adams, second by myself. All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes 5-0. Our last public hearing is the Irrigation Ordinance. This is legislative in nature. And Mr. Reingold.
Thank you very much. On May 3rd, the board considered a public hearing on the Irrigation Ordinance. The board at the time had continued it. Since then, I have reached out to St. Johns River Water Management District staff concerning the changes that the board had discussed at the meeting. Unfortunately, the district staff was not supportive of the change to the daylight savings time / standard time to months, and they were also not supportive of defining what new landscaping may be. The response from staff was that they felt that these changes exceeded the regulation requirements under their rule, and thus did not feel comfortable with expanding beyond kind of what they felt the scope was. I did, per the board direction, change the penalties provision, and then also added a missing "and" in the enforcement section. So the county attorney's office recommends that the board open the public hearing, take any public comment, close the public hearing, and then vote to approve the ordinance. And with that, I turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions of staff? Seeing none, open the public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Fleischer?
And for the attorney, Dylan, will this ordinance satisfy all of our necessary requirements to ensure a positive relationship with St. John's?
I've reached out to St. John's and worked with their attorney on this item, and they have given us the green light on the ordinance as presented.
Well, we have to pass an ordinance so we have that relationship to ensure that we have a positive relationship that can bring us closer to lagoon recovery, water availability, and some funding too. I always felt that this was a very challenging mechanism to be able to police. We're not hiring any water police. People don't have to be concerned that there'll be a door-to-door timer check or sprinklers. It's an element of encouragement, and with that, move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Fleischer, second by Vice Chair Ehrman. Under discussion, Sean, could you come up for just a quick second? Yeah, well,
getting sworn in as the water police.
First of all, now that we're getting in the upper 80s, how do you like Vero still?
So far, I've really enjoyed it. It's been great.
Good. I'm sure we're going to pass this, and I don't know if St. John's has some, like a very easy to hand out like brochure or something, or if your staff could create something that we could have available to give out to people, to put it on our website. Maybe at some point we could stuff a utility bill, just to kind of get the word out as an educational thing. Could we task your department with kind of chasing that down?
Certainly, you're more than welcome to task our department to do that. We'd be happy to do that. We'd
Okay.
be happy to put something.
Yeah, I think if we're going to do this, we ought to make sure we have a good education effort behind it. That's all.
And We actually where I previously worked in Aurora, we actually had a very big conservation irrigation program, so I could actually probably, rather than reinvent the wheel, might even be able to plagiarize some of what we had from my previous agency, so.
I'm perfect with that, good. Okay, we have Commissioner Moss.
Just a statement, and I've said this at a previous meeting. I'm in agreement with the board on the larger part of this, but I still think that with regard to the penalties, we should be following what St. Johns River Water Management District themselves recommended, which is not reflected in our current version. So I'll be voting against it, but I just wanted to make it clear that I support the rest of it.
Well, I think to clarify, St. John said, we don't care if you have enforcement or not, is what they said.
Well, I'm looking at their model water conservation ordinance, which is what we started with. And for first violation, it was written warning, second violation, $50, and subsequent violation, fine not to exceed $500. And that was from them.
Right, and they also said, we don't care if you have that or not, so I'm good with that. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Flesher, second by Vice Chair Ehrman. All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
That motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Moss opposed. We'll take a break. We'll say come back here at 11 o'clock. Thank you. And call the meeting back to order. Commissioners, I would like to move up an item from the county attorney matters, item 13D, the Code Enforcement Board appointment. Dylan, if you'd like to go ahead and kick this off, please.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your consideration. The architect position on the Code Enforcement Board is vacant. We have an application that has been submitted. I spoke with the applicant last week, and he is excited about getting involved in our community. I will note that he is actually here, which is why I asked if the board could take it up. The county attorney's office just simply recommends that you review the application and decide whether to appoint the applicant to serve on the Code Enforcement Board. I will note that with this applicant, we will now have a full code enforcement board. All the positions will be filled, and we will have one applicant. So to the extent all of the members show up, the alternate will not be in a position to be able to vote or participate. That I will state that sets up an interesting predicament, as the alternate was chosen to be the chair of the Code Enforcement Board. So in those situations, the vice chair, I would assume, would then take over to serve as the chair. But anywho, just wanted to add that as a side note, but I believe our applicant is here in case the board wanted to hear from him.
Yeah, Carlos, I'm terrible at pronunciation, so if nothing else, if you'd like to come up and introduce yourself and let us know how to pronounce your name.
Thank you very much. My name is Carlos Luis Flores Blancano.
Blancano, okay.
Yes. I'm a 14-year architect, 21 years practicing architecture, but 14-year registered architect. My wife and I moved up here to Indian River County from Dade County, and we really enjoy the county. I look forward to partaking and participating in the board zoning code enforcement, and I would really feel honored to be appointed to the commission.
Very good. Carlos, do you specialize in residential, commercial? What type of architecture?
I work with locally with Tony Donadio.
Okay.
So, and I'm basically doing education, multifamily, commercial. The game is open.
Okay, great, awesome. Well, thank you for volunteering to serve, and we'll see if we can't take care of this real quick. Commissioners.
Chair?
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Flesher.
I'd like to thank the applicant for moving forward in such a strong commitment, as this has been a vacancy for some time, and to have a qualified architect on the board is very important, and we appreciate your commitment. And with that, I'll move staff recommendation and for your appointment.
Thank you.
We have a motion by Commissioner Flesher, second by Commissioner Adams. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Carlos, when I saw your application come through, I've got to tell you, I was a little, he hadn't been here a long time. So what did I do? I called my good friend, who's a really good friend of mine, Tony Donadio. You just mentioned, and Tony said, he's a great guy, he's a great architect, he's seen a lot down in Dade County, he's going to be vested here probably for the rest of his life, and so he said he'd be a good choice, so we're glad to have you aboard.
Thank you. That is our intent. This is our forever county from now on.
Very good.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Carlos. And the vote was 5-0 for the clerk. Okay.
I have a question. Could I ask our county attorney a quick question about this? Being that the alternate is the chairman of the board, would the alternate just not vote and still remain as chairman?
I will certainly work with staff on how we're going to go forward. My just initial reaction to it was just probably that the vice chair would most likely just take over in such meetings. But certainly I'll work with staff and the Code Enforcement Board on making sure we do that properly.
Okay. We go now back to public notice items. Mr. Reingold, would you do the pleasure?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We have a couple public notice items. The first is we have a notice of scheduled public hearing for June 7th. This is for a proposed farm-based rum distillery, agricultural industry with associated accessory residential units. We have a notice of public hearing scheduled for June 7th, 2022 for a rezoning from A1 Agricultural 1 District to IG General Industrial District. Have another public hearing scheduled for June 7th, which will be the ordinance regarding the Oslo Park Street Paving District, MSBU. And then finally, we have a notice of scheduled public hearing for June 7th, which is the Fisher right-of-way abandonment. So those are 4 public hearings, all scheduled for our next meeting, June 7th, 2022. And with that, I turn it back over to the chair.
Dylan, on the first one, the farm-based rum distillery.
Yes, sir.
Are they going to be bringing samples so that we can check the product for quality and things such as that?
I've actually asked for alcohol-free samples for the board during the meeting.
Okay.
Bill Mattson, Community Development Directory. When I understand the real high end, it's $400 a bottle. I won't be drinking any.
All right. Moving on to departmental matters. Oh, nope, we're none of those. We have back to the county attorney matters. 13A, fire station number 13, removal of the fire tower.
Thank you very much. On June 11th, the board directed staff to work with the city of Fellsmere on transferring the ownership of the fire tower that is located at Fire Station 13 and having that transferred to the city of Fellsmere. I've worked with Warren Dill, the city attorney, and I've drafted the attached ordinance authorizing or resolution authorizing the tower to basically be removed and delivered to the city at their site, consistent with the state statute. City will be is ready to accept the tower in mid-June or July, simply looking for additional time for our staff to deliver it to them due to either procurement issues or permitting issues. But it looks like we are ready to go in getting this transferred over to the city of Fellsmere as long as we follow all of our appropriate processes. And with that, I turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Commissioners?
Move staff recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second.
Commissioner Adams has a second.
Okay, I'm going to make a statement on this.
So you want to get in there?
This is going to be a sad day for 4th Street and 43rd Avenue not to see that fire tower anymore right there at that location. But I think this is a really, really good idea. It's going to remain in the county. It's going to be in the county's hands. It's going to be more of a traditional place where there's still at least some wooded area left, and I think it'll be a great addition to Fellsmere, and with the county's help and kind of a joint project. But you know, growing up in that area all my life and visiting that tower as a young kid for many years, and even after that, it's going to be a sad day, but I think it'll be a great day. So I appreciate the effort that everybody's put into this.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Flesher, second by Commissioner Adams. No further discussion. All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carries 5-0. Item 13B, settlement of a lease interest for parcel 132, tenant B&B Farms, Inc., doing business as Countryside Citrus. And Mr. DeBrawl, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill DeBrawl on behalf of the County Attorney's Office. Today we have almost identical agenda item as we had last week with Amanda Tongay and Empire Equine as far as the extinguishment of a leasehold interest in a piece of property that we've already acquired. Last year we bought the 1.07 acres necessary for the 66th Avenue Improvement Project from the Van Antwerp Family Trust. That property was under a lease at B&B Farms, doing business as Countryside Citrus. That parcel of property that we purchased was used for the annual corn maze, and it was leased to B&B Farms. There are also some other parcels to the east and to the south that were leased to B&B as well that make up the basis of Countryside Citrus's fresh fruit packing and gift packing operations there. This parcel, there are no improvements on it, and as far as going along with the staff's recommendation, the outside counsel has negotiated a settlement of $15,000 in full and final settlement of all fees, costs, and damages as far as B&B Farms is concerned. Staff's recommendation is to go ahead and approve this with the caveat that if necessary and B&B Farms wants to use this parcel as part of their corn maze in the fall of 2022, that we grant them an extended possession without compensation, so long as they have the proper insurance, ensuring the county's interest on that section. And so if there are any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Commissioners, any questions of staff?
Meet your O'Brien rule, all right?
I'm good.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that. We have a motion by Vice Chair Ehrman, yep. Second by myself. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify with aye. Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Next item is a demolition lien, 4470 31st Avenue. Mr. DeBraw?
I'll take it.
Or, I'm sorry, Mr. Reingold.
Yep. On April 19th, Ms. Nelson spoke to the board about the various liens on the property located at 4470 31st Avenue. Since then, the property taxes have been paid. Code Enforcement Board has reduced its lien. Utilities has agreed to a settlement of their lien. That just leaves the demolition lien. So consistent with recent demolition lien releases requests, County Attorney's Office recommends the board waive 90% of the accrued interest, so long as the lien and 10% of the accrued interest, which totals $6,771.43, is paid in full within the next 60 days. County Attorney's Office also recommends that the board authorize the chair to execute a release of the lien as part of any closing that settles the lien as described. And with that, I turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you. Commissioners, question of Dylan. Seeing none, your pleasure.
Move approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Adams. I'll second it. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify with aye. Any opposed? That carries 5-0. We already have done the Code Enforcement Board appointments. That leaves the County Attorney's Annual Employment Agreement. Mr. Reingold.
Thank you very much. My contract expires on July 1st, 2022. Still enjoying my job and would like to renew the contract for one more year. There are two proposed changes to the contract. The first is the salary, which just simply now reflects the current salary. And then the second is a change to Section 8, which would allow for payment of accrued annual vacation and sick leave upon termination, which would be consistent with the Administrative Policy Manual for any other employees in similar situation. Otherwise, would like the board to consider the contract as presented. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Move staff recommendation.
We have a motion by Commissioner Fletcher, second by Commissioner Adams. Dylan, I would just like to say I believe that your office is still producing a very high-level quality work production. I'm very impressed with how fast a lot of things get turned around and come out, and the quality of the work. So I'm very pleased. And also, you know, you're always accessible, you're always available, and I just want to commend you and your entire staff. I think you've done a good job of bringing in some new people and giving Susan and others a little bit more responsibility, and you know, I think furthering their career and mentoring them. So I just really appreciate all of that. And of course, probably the most important thing is Heather's baking and stuff around Christmas time. And just like we always told Commissioner Solari, we kept him around because we like Jackie. So we don't want to get rid of you and lose Heather. So
Heather always does take note of that comment every year.
All right, Commissioners, we have a motion by Commissioner Fletcher, second by Commissioner Adams. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify with aye. Any opposed? That carries 5-0. Congratulations, Dylan, and welcome another year.
Thank you very much. And I'd just like to follow up on what you said, and I want to thank you for that. I'm not able to do this without my whole team, and they're phenomenal, and it's just been very lucky to have the group with me that I do have. So thank you for pointing that out, sir.
Thank you. I did want to acknowledge we have Council Member Bob Atwater here from Indian River Shores. Bob, did you want to comment on something, or are you just keeping an eye on us? Okay, very good. Well, thanks for being here and sticking through the whole thing.
Thanks for a great job. Thanks for a great job, gentlemen.
Commissioners, if there's nothing else for the greater good, we stand adjourned.